Hello, family. Hey guys, I hope you're well. So, I wanted to say something to you today that I think you're really going to enjoy. I've been preparing my latest keynote called Futurenomics. We've been working on it for the past 4 or 5 months. Tons of data and research from my research team in India, in Canada, and we've been pulling together like a whole host of academic content and research to support this latest keynote, which, by the way, I think will probably convert into a book in not so long from now. But there are 3 major themes I wanted to share with you about how the future is unfolding. I've really been obsessed about how the future is unfolding for a couple of reasons. As an African, I'm obsessed about how the future is unfolding because the past, in particular the past 400 years, hasn't been that great for us. And so I'm hoping that yours and my generation is the generation that begins to write a new page in the almanac of yours and my experiences on our continent. That's really what I'm hoping for. There are 3 ways that the future is unfolding. And it's driven by 3 things which are happening concurrently, but separately. So I've just made an investment into a DAO called Severus, Severus. Go check them out at severus.finance. And we're building an incredible platform to kind of create the on-ramp and off-ramp of CFI to DeFi, right? For those of you who don't follow the language, don't worry. You'll learn about it as we go. But there are 3 things that are happening in the world today. If you're watching where we are in the world, you're seeing major conflict across the world. Nations fighting with other nations. And without casting aspersions or making political statements, suffices to say that the old expression is true. The first casualty of war is truth. The second casualty of war is innocence. And so the true fact is, regardless of which way a war ends, there are never really any winners. So you're seeing nations fighting nations. In countries, you're seeing communities fighting communities. Some ultra-left, others ultra-right. Some for redistribution, others for wealth protection. Some for keeping the world the way it is, and others for saying, it didn't work for us and we want to build something new. But constantly human beings in conflict with one another. In the mix amongst all of this, you're seeing a global financial system that just doesn't enjoy the monopoly it used to enjoy. Today, there are kids who are in their early 20s who are building trading platforms on decentralized finance that would rival trading platforms built by some of the largest investment banks in the world. They're doing it from underdeveloped third world countries with slow internet connections to facilitate trade across nations. They're building payment gateways so that they don't have to follow Reserve Bank rules to clear payments from one country to another. It's happening right now. It's a revolution. It's very exciting. For me personally, I've been on this journey to learn about it. I've met some of the builders. Constantly I'm meeting with one of the builders. We're busy launching our fintech fund. We're already at $50 million committed of the fund, and there are a lot of exciting things happening in that space. But if you were to try and understand the world and how it's unfolding, there are 3 themes. The first theme is that it's asynchronous. See, in the olden world, things were synchronized, centrally coordinated, and controlled. I'll give you an example. When you build a country, you need to deliver certain social services: education, healthcare, safety, and security. Education. What the government would do is they would create an education framework, and in that education framework would have stage gates. These would be the levels of competencies learners need to reach before they graduate from one level to the next. The government would then centralize the control of this learning process through some sort of education board, To staff this education board, they would go to educational institutions, typically higher educational institutions, universities, colleges, and the like, and they would get the top minds, professors who had spent time being educated to come back and monitor the quality of the education system. But the government centrally coordinated and controlled. Healthcare. For you to access healthcare, go to a clinic. The government would have to build the physical infrastructure of the clinic. Your data as a client, that data was kept by a nurse or a doctor in that clinic. That nurse or doctor was graduated in the education system we just spoken about. They were then certified to practice in medicine. I love the word practice, even though they're doctors. This idea of constant learning, even though they've reached a level of professionalization, pinnacle in their craft. A real lesson there for us, by the way. No matter how good you are, no matter how far you've gone, you're always in practice. There are no such things as masters. We're all students of the next level of the game. But the point is, centrally coordinated and controlled. The world today is asynchronous. Over this week, I've met with 2 founders of health tech businesses that have built a platform where clients can buy healthcare products. And on this platform, they have a logistics platform where clients can import those products into their own country. And on the same platform, they have an authentication platform where the doctors can medicate for a client and then the client buy the product. Just think logically about what just happened. The experience of going to the doctor is now online, so the doctor can now diagnose using a series of data sets online. Having diagnosed, can then prescribe medication, and the prescription of that medication can go directly to the wholesale supplier, who through a logistics framework can deliver the product directly to the consumer without the retail play or pharmaceutical play. These kids are Series C, they're going to be raising a Series A probably later on in the year, happening as we speak. Asynchronized. But here's what will really break you. The 2 kids, one is sitting in the US, Silicon Valley. The other one is sitting in Abidjan. And the business is built for the Francophone, what used to be Francophone Africa, West Africa, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire. Asynchronous. So if you're looking for opportunities, you want to understand the future, I'm telling you now that the thing that's going to disrupt your industry, your sector, your business, is not going to come from the competitor next door. It's not going to come from the guy who's got a placard there. That's not the way the world works anymore. It's going to come from a kid in the middle of nowhere with a computer and, 15,000 lines of code, who wants to solve a real problem, and you're making money solving that problem. Asynchronous. The second thing is, I think the future is decentralized. I really think decentralization is the way of the future. Today, if you have data, your data is not owned by you, it's owned by whomever it is with whom you've shared that data. So think logically. If you want to apply for some sort of credit facility, what will usually happen is you'll go to the credit provider, typically a bank. You'll give them your information. This would be your social security number. And you'll give the bank that social security number so that they can then go and contact these bureaus who keep your credit data and pull your credit performance data. Of course, the bank will say to you, please sign this form to give us consent to pull this information. But the fact is that the information is owned by the credit bureau, not really by you. The credit bureaus will say that that's not altogether true. It is true. If you own the data, you would have the data locked away in some sort of cryptography or wallet, with people accessing it only when you want. That's not the case now. They have that data. Every piece of data you've ever shared on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, where you're probably watching this, you don't own that data. The company with whom you're transacting, who built this platform, they own your data. Every series or movie you've ever watched on Netflix or Hulu or HBO, you don't own that data. They do. Every transaction you've ever made with Visa, MasterCard, JP Morgan, Citi, you don't own that data. They do. Here's what I think is going to happen in the future. And I think it's closer than you think. I think in the future, all of your data and your information is going to be kept by and stored by you. And what will happen is the following. You'll go to a credit provider and say, hey guys, I want to lend some money. And they'll say, sure, we want to see your previous buyer behavior. And you'll say, no problem, I'm going to give you a 24-hour gate to pull my data. You'll give them a little secret key. They'll enter that secret key on their system. And with that secret key, they'll unlock your little data wallet, and they'll pull from your data wallet your credit behavior for a point in time. They won't be able to take that off the system. It'll be on the system for them to assess your behavior and assess the risk attached to lending you money. And after 24 hours, you will expire the key, it will close their access, and you will control the data. That's the world of decentralization. That's the world we're going into. That's how the future is unfolding. What does that mean? It means that for universities, all of a sudden, the registry of who's qualified in that university might not necessarily be kept at the university's register. It might not be kept by the Department of Education. It'll be kept by the learner themselves. You own that data. The scores that you scored in your course, you own that data. Your performance in school, you own that data. Decentralized, giving you true ownership and power of that information and that data. And I think the third theme is that the future is going to be socially constructed and coordinated. The very idea of a decentralized autonomous organization, DAO, is this idea that rather than centralizing power through the pyramid structure that we've managed organizations really since the beginning of time, with command and control, right? Line functions and specialization. One person at the top marching instructions to everybody at the bottom. In today's environment, in the environment of the future, in a decentralized environment, that data, or rather those decisions, will be coordinated and constructed by the community. So we will all meet and we will own rights into this decentralized organization, whether it's rights in forms of tokens or some other form of keeping the asset register, an NFT or something like this. But we will own rights into this organization. And we will leverage those rights every time this organization needs to make decisions. So remember in the olden days, we used to have community savings banks. Well, now there'll be real community savings banks because the community will be in charge. In South Africa, where I'm from, we had stokvels. Now it'll be a real stokvel because the community will be in charge. The mutual savings environments, now it'll be a real mutual environment because the owners will be in charge. All decentralized, managed on a chain with blocks that coordinate the decisions. The chain with blocks, the blockchain. That's the future. That's the world we're going into. For those of you watching this wondering, why is Vusi telling me this and what am I to do? Two things. First, don't let the future happen upon you. Take charge. You have a responsibility right now to educate yourself. So I strongly suggest you do it. Spend some time on YouTube and just go and check out the channels of people who are experts at this field and learn. Second, and this is the real reason I'm telling you this, I think we're at a point in time where we're going to have the highest transfer of wealth over the past 500 years. And I hope that you participate in it. But now remember this. If everything you knew could give you everything you want, you would have it already. Which means you need to learn. You're going to be uncomfortable. You have to be willing to be a perpetual student. But if you are, the future is very exciting. Very exciting. So yeah, tell me in the comments below if you think we should release this keynote into a book, probably extend a bit more in some of the case studies that I look at. But what I'd be very interested to hear from you in the comments is, what do you think the future is going to look like? And most importantly, do you think the country you're in right now is ready for that future? Or do you think the future will happen to them? All right, family. That's all I wanted to share with you today. Cheers.